Good morning and welcome to the beautiful game. Yes, this is not Photoshop or AI. It's a real score. And incidentally, like you just saw, all 4 goals were in the first half. Now, it so happens that normally we would want to show you the second half, but everything happened just in the first half. And the best way I can put it, or the best way I can say, is decimation. That is how I can describe what happened to Inter Miami. Good morning, this is a beautiful game. My name is Messi, and just yesterday in the Club World Cup, Inter Miami were kicked out by the resplendent and beautiful Paris Saint-Germain, who for me are top contenders for this particular title, to mark a remarkable and wonderful year where you talk about maybe a quintuple when it comes to the number of trophies that they can and would win this particular year. So PSG 4-0 against Inter Miami, and that was quite the score, I must say. Well, let's take a look at some numbers that had to do with this game. We'll start with the lineups here and look at how the teams performed. Let's take a look at the formation. Of course, PSG starting in their favorite 4-3-3 formation. Donnarumma, of course, there. The man himself, that's Mendes here. There's been a lot of talk about him. Definitely the best left back in the world at the moment. Pacho, Marquinhos, Achraf Hakimi, Vitinha, Neves, and Ruiz make up that 3 in the midfield. Kvaratskhelia, Bradley Barcola, and of course, Doe. So, very, very strong lineup from PSG. They were up against an Inter Miami. If these guys were in their prime, it would probably be a different proposition. But Inter Miami lined up with Messi and Suarez up on top, and just behind them there was Sergio Busquets, Segovia, Redondo, Allende, Weigand, Falcones, Allen, and of course Jordi Alba. Ustari was in the post. But you can see here how the performance was. The whole team would score a 7.7 based on this. Inter Miami is 6.1. Well, let's take a look at some individual performances here while we talk about all of this. And this man, now there's been talk about him. João Neves with 2 goals in this particular match. Man of the match, star performer, 9.4 was rated here. Almost a perfect game from him. They decimated them. If you look at the first half and look at the goals that came in, probably, from a midfield that, has been mooted as the best in the world at the moment, I would say that a big shout out from this man when talking about the Ballon d'Or. But hey, come on, like I always say, football has that bias towards attacking players. Lovely performance all through. They scored all 4 goals. And even though in the second half, this man here picked up the man who a number of people will call their GOAT. That's talking about Lionel Messi. Suarez missed a chance after good work from Jordi Alba and Messi, but it couldn't happen there, as it were. It was decimation. They were not made, and I don't know if anybody expected anything else. I don't know if you would have. From the beginning of the match, I thought, look, they are going to be decimated. First of all, the level of football is not the same. Now you can know when you talk about the European leagues, of course, the American league, basically retirement home, they're not at the same level. And Messi cannot do it all. I don't know why you would throw Messi online, on X and all of that. He cannot do it all. He had to take the whole team. I tell you that if you put a Messi and put some members of this kind of team with this kind of midfield behind him, they'll probably whitewash any other person. So these are the numbers when it comes to the teams and how they have performed, right? Okay, let's take a look at what it means to the stats and show you exactly how bad it was for Inter Miami. XG, a 2.49 XG as against a 0.38. Now, that was quite something. Look at the ball possession, 67% to a 33%. Total shots, 19 to an 8. On target, 9 on target, 2, 3. Big chances, 7. You can imagine the chances were just coming in back and forth. In that first half, it could have been 7 goals. Yes, it could have been 7 goals. Look at it here. Corner kicks, of course, look at it. 7 corner kicks to 3. Passes, 93% pass completion rate. Now, that is almost excellent. That is almost perfect, I must say. And, that's just a tail of a tape when it comes to this particular match. With the numbers, it was just massive decimation for Inter Miami up against Paris Saint-Germain. Mary, of course, is on standby. I don't know if she had anything other than a PSG win. A few people would have wanted Inter Miami win because of Lionel Messi, of course. Yeah. But it was never going to happen, Mary.
Well, so many people were rooting for Inter Miami, as you said, because of Messi. However, he's a 37-year-old, and the reality is he also needs other team members to help him achieve. I did not expect them to be that terribly outclassed by PSG. 4-0 is a lot. I was not expecting it. But then we also can talk about other issues that have been marring the Club World Cup. Say, for example, did you watch the Chelsea-Benfica match? It was a dramatic match. I think that match should go into the world record because
all right, you know what happens?
of the whole, playing into the other day.
The other day, you know what?
I mean,
Mary, let's talk
crazy.
about that. Let's take a look at some of the highlights and then we'll talk about that game.
Okay.
All right. Mary, the whole talk from this match has been that penalty. Was it a soft penalty? Now, when it comes to the rules of the game, it has now been in some way subjective to the referee at that particular point in time. Now, there's that talk about intent when it comes to handball. Was it intentional? Was it unintentional? Was the hand in a position, like, was it in a position, a normal position, you understand? The rules are no longer clear when it comes to the handball. And because of that ambiguity concerning the rules, that's why it's hard in such scenarios to be sure if this was a penalty or not.
Matches like that make me remember you remember that Brazilian match, the Maradona hand of God, and how certain things could be missed or they could actually determine how a match ends. This is one of them.
This is one of them.
This is very controversial. And I was talking earlier, just before we took a look at the highlights, at what even led to this point. The team were already frantic because of the whole 3-hour hiatus before the completion of the game. I've never seen such in my life. Never. You start a match, then you go on a break, and the break lasts 3 hours because of thunderstorms. It was mind-boggling.
That's quite something.
And so I'm sure you even caught Enzo Maresca's outburst after the match. I wouldn't be surprised if he's sanctioned for it. He said a lot, and he even made mention of the fact that he cannot believe that there's going to be the World Cup here again next year. It's like, why? Why should they come here? The weather conditions are terrible. There's a lot to take from this game,
He spoke that outburst that he had. He was talking about how the players had to text their families, they had to eat somewhere, playing games somewhere.
They were playing games. They were
a whole 3 hours. It just took off his steam and took off, the fun and all of that from there. But let's see how all of that goes. 2026 World Cup will still be held by America as co-host. We'll see how all of that will play out. But the final match that we have here to take a look at is Bayern Munich, of course, who were up against Flamengo. Now, Bayern Munich will play PSG in the quarterfinals after defeating Flamengo. It was a 4-2 win for them. Let's take a look at some of the goals from that match. All right, so that game ended 4-2 for Bayern Munich. Now let's get into the transfer window. There's quite a lot to talk about in the transfer window. But I just want to take a look at Liverpool and what they are doing in the transfer market. Liverpool have spent over 200 million so far. They've signed Milos Kerkers, they have signed Florian Wirtz, and of course Jeremy Frimpong. Great additions to their squad. Now there's talk of Jarrell Quansah heading over to Bayer Leverkusen. The new coach there, former coach of Manchester United, Erik ten Hag, will need him, and he's going for about 30 million plus 5 million in add-ons. And so because of that, there is that need for a replacement for him. And Mark Guehi of Crystal Palace is the man that a number of people are talking about, or that is in the news for Liverpool. And then there is that talk of Konate. Konate doesn't want to sign a new contract, as it were, because his expectations have not been met. And it is said that he wants to go the route of Alexander Trent-Arnold. So, on social media, there's been that comparison. It's been trending. Ibrahima Konate, versus Mark Guehi. But let's take a look at the 2024-25 season and compare both players, right? Overview, right? Appearances. Of course, the left side is for Ibrahima Konate and Mark Guehi is on the right side. Appearances there. 31 for Alexandra Konate and for Ibrahima Konate, I don't know why I'm calling him Alexandra here. Konate and Guehi 34. Guehi scored 3 goals, assisted the same, clean sheets the same. Now, considering that Guehi played for Crystal Palace, this is quite something, having 11 clean sheets. Of course, saves and all of that doesn't matter. But let's look at something here. Team play, right? Let's look at team play when it comes to both of them here. Assists, like we mentioned, 2. Chances created. Mark Guehi has 5 chances created, which is, of course, much more than the 2 that Konate created. Pass completion, of course, Konate will complete more. Passes forward. Now, look at this. Now, this is a stat that is quite interesting when you take a look at this thing. Passes forward. He is a more progressive defender when it comes to their numbers. He has much more passes for 705 as compared 101 more than Konate. Passes backward. This is also a very good metric that I have to look at. Ibrahima Konate has 138, much more than 107, which he has here, 31 more. So he is a much more progressive defender, plays the ball out a little bit more. Look at his touches here, just a little more than him. Crosses here, now look at this one. This one also shows you, Maguire has 13 crosses to 0 from Konate. So you see there, he's more versatile when it comes to being there. When it comes to the team, and of course he has been dispossessed more because he has been quite a little bit more adventurous than Konate. Then let's round up by taking a look at their defensive stats. Okay, let's take a look at defensive stats here. Clean sheet, like I mentioned, having 11 clean sheets for Crystal Palace is quite something. That's looking at Guehi, goals considered 42, a little bit more. Successful tackles, he has more successful tackles. This is one that I want to mention here. Like I said, tackles 61 generally. When you look at last man tackles, he has 1 last man tackles. He has far much more clearances. So generally, but this is where there might be a problem. Own goals, 3. Even though Konate has 1 error leading to goal and he has none but own goals, that is only the down part. If you look at it side by side, based on 2024-25 season, you know that Mark Guehi is a better player just last season. That's what I'm looking at as a metric than Ibrahima Konate, based on the stats. If we're looking at them as a whole team player and all of that, I think that it might be a step forward for Liverpool if they do get Mark Guehi there to replace Ibrahima Konate if he leaves. Okay, but let's just round up with how things are looking in the transfer market. And we're going to the transfer gurus page, taking a look at a few things. The major talk that has been there is João Pedro. Now, João Pedro is going to join Chelsea at the Club World Cup. Now, as it stands, there was a little window given a Club World Cup for them to register new players. And so Pedro will join Chelsea and will be available for their next games, for the games that they're going to play in the Club World Cup. And so that's it. He will travel tomorrow and he will be available for Chelsea to play. So what do you think about for Chelsea fans? Is he the man for you from Brighton? Is he the man? So there's that talk of Delap, Pedro and Gittens. How would Chelsea's forward line look, as it were? There's also talk of Galat Fenerbahce, I think, in a bid for Tammy Abraham. That one is also going quite cool. So yeah, there's just a lot more when it comes to the transfer market and all of that going. We'll see how all of that plays. But that's the big news when it comes to the transfer market this particular time. João Pedro moving from Brighton to Chelsea. That is confirmed. Confirmed, yeah, that's quite interesting. All right, well, yeah, that's it on the beautiful game. And of course, Wake Up Madra for this particular morning. Let's take a look at how breakfast is going. Titi was oohing and eyeing about all the breakfast this morning. And let's see how all of that goes.